Are we live? All right. Hello and welcome back to the X-Ring. We've got a really exciting episode set up for you, coming at you live from the studios of Is Your Six Covered. So he's going to be in the scene. He's part of this, but he's also setting up a computer so we can actually check the comments. What we're going to try to do is kind of walk you through the whole thing, all the equipment and the gear. And guys, we're shooting a precision rimfire match this weekend. It's set up like an NRL22 match. It's kind of like what it is, and the match director that's putting it on, I think he's actually ranked #1 in the United States right now, and just got into the Pro Series. So big shout out for Chris Simmons. He's answered a lot of questions for me, and so the very first match I ever shot in a 22 precision rimfire match was his, and I kind of got the bug. I never thought I would, especially with 22, but I'm shooting, and then we've got Matt Pierce shooting, we've got Rick shooting with Is Your Six Covered, and then we have John Kreiderman shooting. And so these will be the 4 rifles that we're using this weekend. What we want to do is talk about the gear, what you can expect, and what you need to be able to be, competitive is a strange word. A lot of people go just to have fun, and that's okay. But if you have that, that competitive spirit, and you want to try to finish as well as you can, I think a lot of us do. And guys, this is Rick here. If you don't know him,
welcome.
If you've never checked out his channel, I do a lot of live chats with him on his channel.
Right, now we can read the comments.
So now we'll be able to read the comments here just by looking down, and getting quite a few people in here. So let's go ahead and get started.
Let's do.
All right, so for the match this weekend, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. My expectation is I hope to be able to finish in the top 10. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, whether I'm in the middle of the pack or back of the pack, whatever happens, happens. You can have a bad stage. Rick, where do you see yourself finishing? It's a completely sold out match.
I'm planning on finishing at least 7th in production.
Okay, so here we go.
There's 7 people. Everything's classified in different classes, but there's 7 shooters at this time shooting in production. So I'm giving myself, going for the worst, hoping for the best kind of thing. Do the best I can and see where I end up.
So you did this last time when we went to Utah and shot the PRS match.
Correct.
Okay, so you have 2 different divisions this weekend. You have what they call open division, which is anything above $1,500. Okay, and let me go ahead and clarify this for you. If you buy, let's say this CZ455.
Don't even make it look like you're touching it.
I'm not touching it. You buy this CZ455, or 457 now because the 455 has been discontinued, and it has the original stock in the configuration that it was made. Let's say you buy a 457 trainer, okay? Whatever the MSRP is on that rifle, combined with MSRP of the scope, if combined for this weekend, if it's less than $1,500, don't touch the rifles, then you're actually good, okay? You can shoot in production division.
No bolts.
There are no bolts in the rifles. They've already been checked and they're cleared, and nothing's aiming at you guys. These are airsoft.
Airsoft.
So scope, rifle, and it doesn't matter the accessories or the accoutrements. You could have an Atlas bipod on there, a Thunder Beast bipod, a Sky bipod that could cost more than the rifle, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a match trigger, let's say a Trigger Tech Diamond or something like that. That doesn't count into the cost. So I actually called the match director about using this rifle and possibly shooting production division, but not with the Night Force. And the problem is since it has an MDT chassis, it knocks you out of production division.
Instantly. So
open division is going to be your biggest division. It's kind of like TAC Ops in 3-gun. Okay, that's where you're going to have 95% of your shooters. And then you're going to have that small segment, 7 shooters for this weekend that are actually shooting production.
We're still shooting against the guys in open, but
you're playing for a different trophy.
We're playing for a different trophy.
Correct. Now, if you go to a large 3-gun event and you have 250 competitors, and you look and you see, hey, there's only 10 TAC Irons guys shooting this weekend. I got a good chance of finishing up in the top 5. Well, you're kind of cheating yourself, because when it comes around to the prize table, your prize table is going to be so minuscule, okay? They might have something decent for first place, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you might win a magazine. Okay. Whereas if you were shooting in, let's say, TAC Ops division, you'll probably win a gun for the first 20 spots. So let's go back to PRS and NRL22.
Well, let's give them the kind of the breakdown. We have basically from the highest end up down to a very well-made Ruger RPR.
Yeah, so there's actually two of them.
There's two of them in the back here, and this is something you could pick up. This is something that I picked up at a local store. I think it was around 450-ish. And it's just normal, came out. There's nothing fancy about it. We put an Arca Swiss rail on the bottom, a couple little gizmo gadgets. In order to stay in production, I'm running the Diamondback. This is what is it, a 6x24. So I just picked the scope up the other day.
Yep.
And
so all total, your combined with the rifle and the optic is actually less than $1,000.
Yeah, we got $399. It was
Yep.
really $340 because it was on sale for the scope. You know, but with all the other stuff, you got some extra money in there. But
so this rifle, and what I'll do is I'm wanting to give you guys some close-ups. We're not going to touch them, of course. This is just a factory Ruger RPR precision rimfire rifle with a Vortex Diamondback on it. So this is going to be production division, and Rick is shooting it.
see, and Mac Eve says he's hoping to get 6 or better in production. So he's shooting
Nice, Mac. Okay, so Mac is shooting this weekend as well.
Yeah. That'll be
So
awesome.
there's two guys that are actually watching.
Okay,
or
now
actually,
I want 5th.
now you want fit. I don't know. We never shot with Mac.
No.
So this is set up in mills. Whether you're a mill shooter or MOA shooter, it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. It's whatever you're used to. And some guys, I've heard the argument, well, you know, MOA is a finer adjustment. And it is, okay? So MOA being minute of angle, you're looking at 100 yards. And a lot of you guys know this. If you have 1/4-inch clicks, one click is going to move you 0.25 inches, okay? So if you're aiming at my nose and you hit over here to the left, 1/4 of an inch, one click to the right will put you on the tip of my nose. The difference is in a mil radian scope that has 10th mil adjustments, if you hit over here 1/4 inch, 0.25, and you move one click to the right, now it's going to move at 0.36, okay? So 0.36 to 0.24, yeah, it is a little larger. That 1/10 of a mil is a little larger than a 1/4 MOA, but most people aren't going to be able to notice that difference, okay? If you have a mil scope and one click is here and one click is here and you can't get on the tip of the nose, then that's just something to remember. It's something to know, hey, just favor left or favor right, okay? So this is going to be Rick's setup. Let's go over in detail what he's got here. What he's got is, he's got a Ruger Precision Rimfire. He's going to be shooting 22, and he's going to be shooting Ely 10X EPS. So I can touch ammunition. And one of the things you guys are going to learn about this topic tonight is it's all about this ammunition. You do not want to go and shoot high velocity, hyper velocity, or anything that is supersonic. You want to do all of your shooting in subsonic ranges. We will be engaging targets at 400, possibly 450 yards with these 22s.
This is going to be a tough shot.
This is great training, guys, because, and this is fact, this is not myth, 200 yards with a 22 long rifle shooting subsonic is the equivalent, wind holds and all, of shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor at 1,000 yards. So if you have, like, let's say a 5-mile-an-hour wind and you're shooting at 200 yards, you're not going to be holding just a little left. You're going to be like 1.5 miles, okay, left, or 1.5 miles right. A lot comes into play. We'll get into pretty good detail. I'm going to try to answer all your questions, but I want this to really be a good learning experience. And yes, sir.
Did you wipe the screen before we started? The screen was blurry.
Go ahead if you like. Hold on for just a second.
Let me get a cleaning patch here.
All right, so he's going to take a cleaning patch. He's going to wipe the lens. I don't know if it's going to help. Give it just a moment.
Hopefully that helps.
I don't think it helped. I think what we're getting is washout off of this one. Okay, so what he's also got on this is a Hawk Hill custom data card holder. You are going to need something, and you guys can see one here. This is a Hawk Hill custom data card holder. You don't need anything so expensive. You can use a 3D printed one for $30-something. These run about $119. You can run an armband, which I had here, which I think maybe someone moved. Yeah, who knows? You can run like a coach's armband, but you're gonna want to have something that you can put your data on. Okay, so this is one by Sun Tactical. I believe it's Sun Tactical. We use these at Snipers Unknown, and this is a really nice one. And nothing is sponsored by any company here. I'm just sharing the equipment and some of the information we have. So you're gonna wear this. You can put your dope here. You can open it up. You can have your dope cards, however you want to do it. But you're going to want something to have data. You do not want a piece of paper that's laying on the ground hoping that it will stay there, because inevitably the wind is going to move it, it's going to flip it, you're going to lose where you're at and what holds or what you need to dial, okay? Now, guys, the beauty of PRS, which I never thought I would say this, but the beauty of PRS and NRL22 is I haven't seen anything that's really physically taxing. You basically have like 90 seconds or 120 seconds to get it done, okay? And what that means is sometimes you'll have 8 targets, sometimes you might have 10 targets, sometimes you might have 12 targets. You can't just keep shooting unlimited rounds, okay? You've got 90 seconds to do it, and you basically want to go 1 for 1 and move from position or whatever the course of fire calls for. So that's Rick in production. Now you've got John Kreiderman over here. He's shooting the exact same rifle. It's a RPR Ruger, but the scope, and this is a primary arms, this is the Athena, it is the Platinum, the PLX. I just did a review on this, but this is a $1,600 scope, so that automatically throws him out of production division. He has to go to open. They don't care whether you have a suppressor or not. A lot of people will shoot suppressed. Rick is actually going to be running a suppressor as well, but it's up in my vehicle right now. It's a Thunder Beast Arms.
Same as that one.
The Takedown 22 is the same as this one. Phenomenal suppressors if you can find one. And these are all threaded in half 28 with the exception of the CZ.
Which we wish it was.
Yeah, these have factory triggers. Both of these RPRs.
They are adjustable though.
Yeah, they are adjustable, and you can go in and fine tune them, and they're actually not bad. They're not bad at all. Now, Rick recently had an issue with failure to extract, and I was able to go in and tweak it, and now it's running 100%. Let's get back to this.
We'll see.
Ely 10X. This is going to run you about $19 for a box of 50. And this is about as good as it gets. You're also going to see some boxes of Lapua, Center X here. Both of these are really good options. You don't have to, I mean, this is about $11 for a box of 50 or so. You don't have to spend that much. You could use something like S&K if you can find it right now.
That's the hard part, is finding stuff.
Yeah, you can shoot CCI standard velocity. You really can. And it will do good up close, but where you're really going to start to see the difference is when you start shooting at these further distances. 200, 250, 300 yards. You're going to see a lot more vertical dispersion just because so much extra time and care is made with these. I know a lot of the pro shooters actually will take their rifle. They'll send it off to Lapua. Lapua will actually put it in an indoor tunnel, and they will shoot, let's say, Center X, but they'll have 10 different lots of it. And they'll do 20-shot strings and find the lot that is optimized for that rifle. Once they do that, they give you the lot number, and most people will go in and purchase 10,000 rounds, which is going to be a lot of money. It's a few $1,000s, but then they know they're good for the whole season, and you're not going to have issues. Guys, just going from this box, which is a different lot number than this box, you will notice a difference. More than likely, you'll notice a difference on your groupings and everything else.
What do you want to do with questions?
Okay, let's go ahead and answer some questions now, because we'll never get...
All right, so one of the questions was... it was about MOAs. Yeah.
Okay, so and that's a great question, Victoria. She's saying how many, or he's saying, Victoria Carr, how much elevation do you need in a scope to shoot 22 long rifle? I have MOA scopes. Once again, it doesn't matter if you have MOA adjustable or mill adjustable. What it's really going to come down to is the scope, how much internal adjustment it has for full range of travel. But the key thing is, when you buy most rifles, hunting rifles or anything like that, on top of the receiver, you're going to have your rail, your 1913 rail or your base. Those are usually going to be 0 MOA, okay? It means it's flat. Now, if you have 10 MOA or 10 minutes of angle, what that means is, and if we're going to pretend it's the rifle here, 10 minutes means that it's canting it down 10 minutes of angle. You can figure that out in mils as well. Doesn't matter. You can shoot a mil scope and have a MOA base. 20 minutes of angle, 30 minutes of angle. And you might say, well, it looks like you're going to hit your line of sight. I'm exaggerating here, but what it's doing
but it gets close
is
too.
It's getting you higher up in the scope itself so that you have more travel the further you shoot. So, with that being said, all of these RPRs, when you buy them from the factory, they realize that this might be used for longer range shooting, and they come with 30-minute of angle bases. It's already installed on there, whether you knew it or not, and that's going to give you 30 more minutes of travel so that you're not working out of the center of the scope and down, but the higher your line of sight is higher through the scope, through the erector tube, and so it's going to give you more travel.
Plus, you may also run 20 MOA on the
correct
on your scope mount.
So on this rifle, the one Kreiderman's shooting, you have 30 minutes already built into the rifle, and this has a 20-minute of angle base on it. He is at 50 minutes of angle before he even starts. And I know a lot of you guys are like, whoa, holy crap. Well, it just worked out that way. And you will notice if you shoot up close at like 50 yards, you might see a little bit of shadowing because you are working out of the very top of the scope itself. But what that's going to mean is he can actually dial. This scope actually has 95 minutes of internal adjustment from top to bottom for elevation. But that means he's going to be able to dial all the way out to 400 yards. He can just dial it. Even on this Night Force, guys, this isn't going to happen. What he's going to do is he's going to run out about 400 or so. I'm going to run out on this Burris XTR3. And at 400 yards, I'm pretty much going to have to go to, you're going to be somewhere around 20, 21 minutes of angle to make that shot, depending on your velocity. But you're going to have to dial max or close to it. I never try to top it out completely. If I can't get to 20, I'll back it off to 19 and just hold the rest. Okay?
See, and that's one of the options when you're buying a scope is if you can get a tube that's a little bit bigger, usually there's a little more adjustability in there as well.
Yeah, so Robbie
So like
says take some 20 mils for 400 yards.
Yeah.
20 mils.
Can't find 40 grain. That's
The base should be no more than half of your scope adjustment. Thoughts? Okay, and you know, that's probably a really good rule of thumb so that you don't get that shadowing like this one. I've already mentioned this one has 95, and that's a good point, Otter. This already has 95 minutes of angle of adjustment, but he's got 50 minutes of angle in his base. That is slightly more than half. That's probably why you're seeing the shadowing up at the top. But it was a scope that I had. It works for this rifle, and like I said, I'm loaning this.
Shoot.
Yeah, I'm actually loaning this to Kreiderman
He
to
couldn't
shoot.
shoot, so bam. Now
Yeah, he's got something. I'm actually loaning this to Matt Pierce to shoot this weekend, and we're going to move on to this one. This is a CZ455. It was one that I bought for my daughter. We call it Little Cricket. And it has a Mr. Fly trigger in it. It's adjustable down to 4 ounces.
It's actually really nice.
It's literally a flyweight trigger. What I want to tell you is very, very important is making sure you have an adjustable height or riser on your stock, okay? There's nothing more aggravating than getting what we call a spot weld or a cheek weld, and you're having to now crane your neck because of the height for the clearance here. So you do want a cheek riser or something that's adjustable so that when you're planning on the rifle, you're looking through the center of the scope and everything's good. You never want to see any shadowing, and it should naturally go to the center of the scope. Now, Matt actually put a Night Force ATAC-R 7-35, and I know you guys might say, holy crud, that scope is, you know, $3,500 or so, and it's on a $400 rifle.
10 times how much that rifle's worth.
Guys, you're going to see a lot of that, okay?
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of really high-end scopes, Collis, Night Force, all of those on these little 22s, but what they can do with the 22s are just incredible. So this is, once again, a mil scope, and it does have an LRA level on there. So, guys, I cannot stress the importance. I'm not going to touch the rifle at all. I cannot stress the importance of how you really need to pay attention to your levels. whether you have a spirit level or you have something like this LRA that is going to show you green, this is very important because as you're shooting, there's oftentimes if you're shooting off of, let's say, a tank track or a side angle, it's really hard. You can tell yourself that you're straight, but you could be off quite a bit. And that is really going to make that bullet go to that direction. So
when it feels comfortable, for me,
yeah,
it's not level.
Yeah, and so you're going to need something to help you with that. Always take a look. This one has a spirit level as well as the digital level. You don't even have to look at it. That's the beauty of this. You don't have to change your focus. You know, don't look at me, or don't look at the level right now. Just look right here towards my hairline, and you'll be able to see the colors. You'll be able to know when it's right there towards the center. You'll know your level. These are accurate within about 0.2 of a degree or so, and you can adjust the sensitivity. You can also mount them vertically, so that if you're off, it will still work this way. It also works on an angle this way as well. These are some really top-notch levels. Price point is not cheap on them. You're going to be looking at $150 to $225. I think there's a couple different models now, but it's very important. Always pay attention to your level, okay? I'm going to let you add it in. I'm going to read some comments.
Another question was size of the targets and distance. Now I didn't go to the first one that they had, but they did have very small size targets from, I think it was what, 35 yards out to
about 365 at the last match.
No, but the little targets.
Oh, the little tiny ones?
The little
at 35 yards, it was a 1/4 inch target. And guys, I really mean a 1/4 inch target.
Yeah.
It's tiny. It's a
1/4
inch.
It's a 1/4 inch, yeah.
Yeah.
And then out to 400 and something.
Then they get into like 33% M6, or sometimes they'll have circles. They're not going to be huge humanoid targets, but I will tell you, anything inside of 100, be looking at shooting at something like a 1/4 size target. You know, a lot of you guys that maybe have not done this before might say, I can shoot it all day long at 100 yards. I can hold a dime at 100 yards. And if you're doing that, great. But now do it unsupported, positional, or you're not on a bench rest. You're shooting off of a tire or a tank track. Yeah, with a clock.
Yep.
So I'm just talking about the equipment. We're going to get into some other things here in just a minute. Now, guys, this right here is the latest edition. I just got this today. This is a Voodoo. If you guys have never heard of them, Voodoo pretty much makes, I'm just going to call it what it is. It is the Rolls Royce of 22 precision rifles. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say Anschutz, and I do have some Anschutz rifles, and they shoot great, but I've never had one to shoot like this did today.
These are first rounds out of the box.
Yeah, and I don't have the target with me.
I was like...
But it was insanely accurate. They do have a patented system in their bolt face.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I hate to bring his name up, but I mean, he's ranked #1 right now in NRL22. He's sponsored by Voodoo. I got to see his rifles, and I was, with the help of Area 419, those guys really helped me out in getting this together before the match. Manitou said, yes, I did get the V22. So
bam.
It's a V22. It does have a Bartlein MTU contour barrel. Now let's talk about barrel length before we go too far, because a lot of you guys might think that, you know, a 24, 26-inch barrel would be better.
No.
It's not. Your optimal barrel length for 22, for precision 22, is going to be somewhere between 18 and 20 inches. Beyond that, you've actually burnt most of your powder up, especially for subsonic, and now your bullet's actually starting to slow down because of the friction in the barrel going through the lands and grooves. So 18 to 20 is all you need. I chose to go with an 18 because I am going to run the Thunder Beast on here. It's threaded in half 28. I went ahead and put the Diamond the Diamond Trigger Tech 2-stage match trigger in here, and like I said, I shot about 50 rounds through it today just to get a 0. And let's talk about zeros. All of these rifles are zeroed at 50 yards.
Correct. Guys,
the difference between shooting 50 yards with competition match ammunition with a 50-yard zero, when you go to 100 yards, you're going to be about 1.9 to 2 mils. Okay, it's quite a bit. Okay, so you really don't. I'm not saying you can't, but most of the pro shooters I know that are shooting in this run a 50-yard zero, because a lot of your targets are going to be at 35 yards, 40 yards, 70 yards, The rest of it you can figure out, but you don't really want to run a 100-yard zero per se. I made that mistake. I thought it was a 100-yard zero, and everybody was like, no, you really want to do 50 for this game.
There's so much difference if you go from 100 and then have to shoot a target this size at 35 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because now you're going to be negative inside of there, and so, you know, trying to run negative numbers is better just to have 0 at 0.
I think the best, and this is just me personally, but one of the reasons why I've wanted to get one of these is in the PRS, the barrel is, this rifle feels like every other PRS rifle. You know what I mean? When it comes to weight and mass, where like the RPR, the Cricket over there, which isn't a Cricket, but we call it the Cricket, is just completely so light compared. You can see the weight on this one that I'm shooting. I got 4 blocks from an XLR chassis, that one actually, just to give it some weight and to balance it out, but it's a completely different beast because of the weight. It feels like a real rifle, like a PRS style rifle.
Yeah. So Gamamil Ortiz, hello, it's good to hear from you. So Gamamil Ortiz, he was actually the match director for Snipers Unknown. So yeah, thanks for joining in and watching the channel.
Oh, that's Ortiz.
Yeah.
What up, Ortiz?
Yeah, great job running that match, by the way. What stages do you expect to encounter at this type of match? At the last one that they held at the facility, they kept everybody in one area on the long range bay, and they basically shuffled through little sections, and we shot 10 stages. On this match, I've heard they're going to have you moving throughout the facility to shoot different areas, so everyone's not so crowded. Remember, this one is sold out.
Over the pond.
A lot of match sponsors for this one. I mean, Voodoo is sponsoring, Vortex is sponsoring, US Optics is sponsoring. You have, how many other people? You got Coltac, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but like I said, I have no ties to it. But big shout out, shout out to these companies for stepping up and, you know, providing things for the table, whether it's gift certificates or anything like that. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
John Kreiderman says he thinks this rifle's zeroed at 100 yards, and it was, but I corrected that. It is now zeroed at 50 yards. I took care of that for you, and we'll do some tomorrow. What we're going to do is do some fine tuning of this tomorrow. Guys, you really need to know what your dope is, okay? You're going to have a Kestrel. So one of the things, whether you're into 22s or whether you're into PRS, where you're doing, you know, 6 Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, you're going to want a Kestrel, okay? Now, not just any Kestrel, and these actually have 2 of them. One's number 1 and 2. 2 is 1, 1 is none. I'll probably lose this one, and I'll find this one. You have to have one of these, okay? Can you...
You don't have to have one, but you should.
If you want to be competitive and shoot at the top end, you're going to need to have one of these.
Or if your buddy has one that gives you all the information you need in order to enter into Straylock, it'll
help.
Yeah.
Can you shoot with Straylock? Yes. I think I've mentioned this for those that might be new to the channel. I actually shot, and I had some people from overseas ask me, you shot there? This is different. The Nordic Championships, I didn't have a Kestrel at the time, and I won that match, and that was using Straylock. It was good enough, but in 22, I don't know because I've seen the Kestrels do better than Straylock. And let's touch on this. If you're familiar with drag, you know, bullet coefficients, G17 or G1 drag models or G7 drag models, rimfire is a little different. If you're using Straylock, I'm going to recommend you go in there, and you might or might not know this, but you can use a drag model. It's called RA4, and it's set up specifically for 22 long rifle. Now, if you don't have $600 or so to spend on a Kestrel, you're just getting your feet in it. And guys, you don't have to spend this kind of money. You can go with an RPR. You can go with a Diamondback, be less than $1,000. Use Straylock, and you can go out and have a good time and possibly even win based on your skills.
True.
But you're going to have to practice. You're going to have to practice positional shooting. You're not just going to go out there and just kill it first time. At least that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Go ahead.
Well, and that's the thing. It comes down again to, we've talked about it a lot, but it's the Indian over the arrow. It really is, to a point.
Correct.
There's a point where, at some point after you've gotten really good, I'm not saying I have, where you practice all the different positions and all the different weird ways and the different tires and roof props and everything else, then this really comes into play with a better trigger, maybe a better optic. You know, that's when it really starts to shine. It will help you or give you the crutch, you know, like people do with pistols. They put the better triggers in it when they probably should just practice before they get a better trigger, kind of thing. But it definitely helps. But after shooting this today, I was like, man, this is impressive.
He's going to get one.
Yeah,
There's no doubt he's getting one.
I've been wanting to get one. I just haven't had a chance to do it. But when you're looking at groups at 100 yards between the Ruger and, you know, obviously that nice freaking rifle there, there is a difference. There is a difference in tightness of groups. And if this is the thing that you like doing, whether it's like, you know, deep sea fishing, we spend money on reels and everything else. That's the same thing. If you want the best,
yeah, so
you got to spend the money.
So Otter, this is the one with applied ballistics. Back in the day when Kestrels came out, I was using them way back then for work, and we didn't have applied ballistics. Okay, they were weather meters, and they helped us get environmentals. And then I remember Horus came out. That was you know, Horus that does the reticles. They actually had Horuses in them, and I haven't seen one past then, and that's been 2014. Those kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Applied ballistics came out. This has been unbelievable. There's also a new one out by Hornady called DOF. I haven't used it, but Hornady has their software, and you can purchase a Kestrel with either applied ballistics or the DOF. So know what you're getting, know which way you want to go with it. They're basically ballistic solvers for you. They're going to help you. They're not going to always give you the exact answer, and you need to study and know how to use it, okay? They do a lot more than what people realize, but don't just think you're going to go out there and it's going to give you the right answer every time. You have to do your part. Garbage in, garbage out, okay? So enough on the Kestrels. And guys, these do, if you haven't seen these before, these are so sensitive, and you know, you don't want to just leave it out in the sun. This is something you want to kind of keep shaded. You spin it or you can twirl it to get your environmentals when you're taking temperature, barometric pressure readings, things like that, because it all matters.
It definitely matters.
All right, so what trigger are we running in the V? Manitou, I did go with the Trigger Tech Diamond 2-stage. It's the new 2-stage trigger. It runs, I think MSRP is around $289 or so. Now let's talk about magazines real quick before we start getting into bags and things like that. So a CZ455 or 457, it's gonna come with like a 5-round magazine. This is not going to work for a match, okay? Most of your stages, 8 to 12 rounds, and so if it's a 12-rounder, you're gonna have to do 2 magazine changes after you start. So you're going to have to spend the money. I know nobody wants to spend $35 on a little plastic mag, but it is what it is. You've got to get it, because even this 10, because I shot that rifle at the last one, and I had to do mag changes where other guys didn't have to do that. And when you're trying to do that with 90 seconds on the clock and while you're moving, and sometimes with a rimfire, it can, when you insert it, it jumps or whatever. Yes. You want an extension on this as well. And there are quite a few companies that make extensions for the CZs. They call them +3 extensions, use the exact same follower and spring, and you're good for 12. I don't know if I'd load 13. What I've been told is they run a little better with 12, but there's quite a few companies, you just have to search it. So in his case, Matt is going to be relegated to 10-round mags. I ordered extensions for him. If they don't show up by tomorrow, then he's just out of luck. Now, let's talk about this Voodoo. I've never shot a 22 that did what this one did today. It was insanely accurate right out of the box. And they're very popular. There's usually a wait list. As a matter of fact, one of my viewers had just purchased one of these. He got it in an AI chassis to match his Accuracy International rifle. Nice. And I think he's going to have to wait 2 months on that.
Oh, he hasn't got it.
Yeah.
He ordered.
But a lot of guys will use this as a trainer for PRS.
That's what I'm talking
Because what you're going to notice here is this uses pretty much a full-size magazine that's going to give you a feel of an AICS magazine. You're using the same chassis. I use this same chassis on some of my other rifles. On the 6 ARC, it's the exact same chassis. Nothing changes. This is machined aluminum. You can get them, I think XLR makes one called an Element that's made out of magnesium. It's a lot lighter, but almost too light. You do want something that's well-balanced, has a good balance point when you're shooting it. We actually move the lead around on these chassis so that they have a good balance point. But that's a full-size magazine. They make them in 10s, 12s, and 15s. But you're going to spend $80 up to $100 and something for. Yeah, this is polymer. The metal ones will run even more than that. So let's check the.
Well, what's nice about that is when you're practicing for your PRS, you're using the same mag carrier, you know, and everything is basically
continuity.
The same
It's
size.
the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. So that's the reason why I really like the weight of that rifle.
Okay, so MacIp says number of targets per stage. It's going to vary. Some of them might only have 3 targets, but you're having to go near, middle, far, far, middle, near. And if you don't follow the exact sequence, then you're not going to get credit for the hit. So you have to listen to the stage brief. I know that there was one stage last time where they said no dialing allowed. You had to do holdovers. So going out there with a duplex reticle is probably not going to cut it. You're going to be hurting yourself big time because you're not going to know where to hold. You're just going to be estimating on a little teeny tiny target. So when you choose an optic, it doesn't matter what you choose. Make sure you get something that tracks well. Make sure it has external turrets. Not something you're going to need a coin to adjust because that will never work. It's not going to work well for you.
Price point on the Voodoo.
Price point on the Voodoo. You can get a barreled action without a chassis or anything else. Barreled action is going to run you about $1,900, maybe $1,800. I know the Area 419 had one in stock. That's this one now, so I don't think they have one in stock anymore. I don't know when they'll be getting another one, but I think it was on sale for $18 and some change. Now the XLR chassis, this is a more expensive chassis. This chassis is about $1,200 or so, $1,200 or $1,300.
That kit does.
But this is the NVJV Pro. It has internal weights, external. You can move them around.
Take them out.
Weights in the back, and you don't need it.
Yeah.
But I wanted it, and that's what I got. So we'll see how it goes, how it does. And I know you guys might say, well, why are you using a burris? Why aren't you using a night force? Because I usually do shoot night forces, usually the 7-35 or 4-16. But I actually came in third last time shooting that rifle with this burris. This burris optic is a Burris XTR3. It is not like the XTR2. The glass is considerably better. I like the feel of the turrets. It tracks well. So I'm going to run it.
Scribble has a good question. Wants to know about reticle, what your favorite reticle is. What's your favorite reticle for something like PRS currently? Okay,
so Scribble, you know, most of the matches I've done in the past have been, you know, law enforcement, military, sniper style matches. And in those, I've always preferred the Trimmer 3 reticle. It's my favorite. I have them in a lot of my Night Force scopes, and then I also like the H59 as well. I think you just got an H59 reticle and a Vortex.
Now, I did, but I did have a half-off certificate, and I did pick up a reticle. That's my third one, but my other two are EBR2Cs, and I wanted to change a little bit. Because only thing I really want in the scope is the 2/10.
Yeah.
Horizontal and vertical.
He's wanting 2/10 holds. That way you're not guessing between, let's say, 1.5 mils and 2 mils, and it calls for 1.7.
You're like,
you're just guessing.
It's all guess. Yeah.
So that being said, this is the caveat. I think those reticles are too busy for true PRS. I think you need a cleaner reticle, something where if you do miss, you can spot your impact or spot your miss and make that correction immediately. So something like in the Night Force, something like a Mil XT.
That's what I wanted to get.
Or an EBR7. I mean, it's no, that's the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
it's busy.
It's
the 2C.
The 7 is an EBR2C, but the 7C has the numbers on the outside.
Gotcha, and sit on the inside.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Can you use a can for this match? Oh, absolutely, and I urge it. Everybody, you'll see a lot of cans. All right, exactly my thoughts as well, why I've stuck with the 7C so much. There you go, Scribble. Yeah. So you don't want it too busy. So now that we've talked about the rifles, we've talked about the ammunition, we've talked about magazines and whatnot, we're going to switch gears. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the camera, just bear with us for just a second. We're going to face it towards the ceiling. These are going to magically move on their own.
Because we're not allowed to touch them.
Yeah, because we can't touch them on video, on live video with YouTube.
Ah, so scary.
And then what we'll do is we'll put some other things on the table to help you guys out. So give us 10 seconds.
Why don't you go tell them the story and I'll move on this crap.
All right, so we're just going to check out this sheetrock. Just move it.
Just move it. Just move it, move it.
You guys get to hear the comments. All right, and we are back. They've magically walked off.
That's one ugly ass ceiling. All right. So, things you'll need.
Okay, so the number one thing you're going to need, and you guys asked about the bipods, and we've moved them, they're gone. Those were Atlas bipods, those were BT46s. I think there was a BT10 as well. You can use whatever you like as far as bipod. You can go out there and be very competitive with a Harris. You just want something that has cant to it. That's very important. Try not to buy one that doesn't have cant or adjustment for cant, okay? Tracking or panning is not as important, but it will help. It'll help quite a bit, especially if you get on a rooftop at an angle and you're trying to get in there kind of funny. Being able to have that cant and a little bit of panning or tracking ability will help you. But the biggest thing,
that is very well said,
is going to be a support bag, okay? Now, we're going to just throw a bunch of bags out here because you're going to see all of this in a match. And you're going to have a favorite bag. You're going to have one that you use quite a bit. But if you had to only have one and you're going to attend a PRS or a rimfire match, you're going to, if you're only allowed one bag, the one do-it-all bag is going to be something like this, like a Reeser Precision, a Game Changer. This is made by, Armageddon Gear.
Fortune.
Yeah, I mean,
they like those.
You just choose whichever one you like, but this is very versatile. This is one.
Game changer.
Yeah, this is one if you have a post or if you have a cattle guard or something. It gives you something to place the rifle on. Typically, you're going to be moving in all types of positions, everything from tank traps to you name it. So if you had one bag, I'd say something.
Yeah, because you can use this as a rear bag if you need to. If you're running a bipod, but you only get one bag, you can run this kind of as a squeeze bag in the back and do all sorts of stuff with it.
Now, most of the pros that I shot with out in Utah, they were running waxed style bags, waxed canvas bags, which are going to have a different texture to them. Like this. These are canvas bags. This is one by Coltac. This is a waxed canvas bag. And what they'll do is they'll actually spray adhesive on them. Now, this is important, and for Mac Evan, you guys that are going to be going out there, if you've never done one before, maybe you have, maybe you're a lot more experienced than I am, but for those that maybe don't know, you do not engage a target, and let's say I have to move from this position to this position, fire, and then move to this position, or fire, rack your bolt, and then move to this position. You have to fire, open your bolt, move. Once you're in some places, you have to be on target before you can close it again. Don't just open it, go here and close it if you're 5-10 yards off target. Go ahead, open it, move, open bolt,
get dinged for that.
Close it, and then fire. You need to do that every single time. I know Kreiderman, that was his first time doing that. And if you do get in that position, you close the bolt, just lift the bolt again. They usually won't say anything. You can close it back again. Practice that.
Conservative Sniper's talking about fill in the bag. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. So we are talking about PRS. We're not rucking these things for miles and miles and miles. So these ones here are very lightweight for carrying for miles and miles and miles, where these ones are more sand filled and different types of heavy fill. So those are a little bit different. So
yeah, so
sand.
This one right here came with sand, and it's a Coltac. This actually has a rail exchanger from Area 419, and it's a huge piece of billet aluminum. We'll talk more about this later. It is one of my favorite accessories. But this Coltac bag actually came filled with like play sand, playground sand.
Horrible.
And you have a zipper here. And let me tell you, sand will go through a zipper.
And see how it's open because the way that it's designed?
It's just the way it works. And I had sand all over everything. It was getting in my scope, you name it. So I actually drained all the sand out. And
what's
of course,
in there, Ray?
Rice. White rice. And I know that's a bad fill because it is going to absorb moisture, but it's something before the match.
That closer to being able to eat that. So.
That's right. It'll do the job. This actually works really well, and what you can do with this, This mounts onto the bottom of an Arca Swiss. If you noticed, almost every rifle had an Arca Swiss rail on it. That enables you to move the bipod forwards and rearwards. It enables you to move these bags forwards and rearwards. But this one, what you do is you take, I'm going to go up close so you guys can see it.
Manitou says, way to break the stereotype, right?
So on this bag right here, you have this big gold handle, and this basically acts as a cam. And what you do is you lift it to unlock it, and once you lift it, this cam can move rearwards like this. You see that?
Here, just show them the one that's...
So I'm done now. So now what you do is you lift this off, and you have this attach point. And so you can attach a multitude of different things to this. Area 419 has this bag by Armageddon Gear, and you can use these inserts to attach it to this rail changer. And this is really heavy. This is a 5-pound bag. They also have it here where you can put it on this side. And that actually hangs on the rifle. You have a magazine well cut out here, and these are very, very handy.
Let me tell them some disappointments about that bag. Oh, you didn't bring the other one, did you?
I did not.
Where's my other one at? Okay, so there's this wide base, and then you can also buy this where it's just a very slim, thin thing. And I can't think of what it's called right offhand. But we had some issues when we were in, where were we at, Utah?
We were out in Utah.
Utah, yeah. And this thing would basically, would be on here, but it'd still roll.
It would completely roll 90 degrees.
And it was,
I was
like,
upset.
Yeah, it did not work the way it should have. But when you add this, it's definitely a lot better, less likely to roll. But it would really do that. And it was like, what was the point of this? So, if you're going to buy one of these, I'm just trying to give you the heads up now. It has the possibility of rolling. So.
Yeah, and what your expectations are on it. Now, you know, we actually had a viewer send us quite a few of these things, and we were very, very appreciative. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But we learned. We learned by sharing our experiences and what worked, what didn't. Now, Rick absolutely hates this. I love this bag. This is made by Coltac, and this Coltac, they make this backbone frame. And with this backbone frame, he doesn't like it because it has Velcro on it, but I like this wax bag and it has its place. If, let's say, you're in the V of an object, well, this rail changer's too freaking big to get in that V. I'm metal on metal, okay? Whereas this, I've got a thinner profile. I can throw it in that V, and you're going to set it up beforehand. You're not going to be switching this stuff during that stage. You've got 90 seconds, maybe 120 seconds on that stage, and you want to make sure everything works, where you're going to be, where your body position is going to be. Play it through your head before you actually shoot the stage.
If you could only have one bag, it would be something similar to these.
Yep.
Where you can rest it on something.
Game changer.
There was a lot of times when we were in Utah, he was in a different squad, and he's probably going to say the same thing I did. A lot of the top shooters, I ended up in the damn, you know, the group with all the pros, like, kind of like you did, but they had one bag and they used it for almost everything. And they didn't even utilize, most of them didn't even utilize this. They put it on there, threw the rifle down, shot, next position, threw the rifle down, shot. And they had plenty of time because, you know, slow is smooth, and they did a great job. So.
What is up, James from 395 Expeditions? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So, you know, this is giving you an idea of the bags. These aren't all the bags. There's a ton of other bags. And the thing is us going as a group with 4 of us, as long as we're squatted together, which we only need one of these, because you can say, all right, well, Rick, you carry this, I'll carry this one, and you can share the bag. It's like, all right, need the game changer, need the game changer. Because carrying all this gear it's a lot of gear, especially when you've got your rifle, your dope cards, all of this other stuff you're trying to manage. So we do get a lot of questions about what kind of bags these are. These are Sandsock gears. Sandsock actually makes a 3, and I get nothing from them. They've never sent me anything free. I'm just saying this stuff works and it's lightweight. This entire package here is super, super light. It has that styrofoam type fill in it, whereas this probably weighs more than all 3 of those combined.
Yeah. Night, Walter.
So if you're doing a ruck match or anything where you've got a lot of distance, this is the way to go. It will work well for you. You can use these straps to go over your handguard, and so now you do have a rail,
which is
support.
Basically this, but in a lightweight version.
Correct. So it's a very versatile bag set, and believe it or not, Sandsock Gear had these in stock when I looked yesterday. Somebody thought they were out of business, but they weren't. So This is Armageddon gear sold by Area 419. This is Coltac. They make a lot of other bags as well. This is a Coltac. This is made by Area 419. Rick actually has some other bags made by Area 419. You have the little skinny one that's real tacky. And then Game Changer, this is patented. I think Reezer has the patent on this, and they contract out other companies to make it for them. Or at least give them a portion. So this is made by Armageddon Gear. It's a great bag.
A lot of people like the Schmedium. A lot of people like the Fortune Cookie. There's a ton of different bag options available.
Yeah. So now let's talk about spotting scopes, binoculars, things like that. So it's always good to bring a set of binos because it's easier to visualize where the targets are. You can see them. But this gives you away. These are SIG Kilo BDXs, or SIG 3000 BDXs rather.
The popularity of those at the last two.
It is insane.
They're crazy.
These actually talk to the Castrol. So if I have that dope in here for my Voodoo, as long as I have them linked together, I can press the button, not only get the yardage, but also get the hold. Okay? So usually, at any PRS match I've been to, there's never been a blind stage. They give you the yardages. They tell you where the targets are. But you still want to, in your mind, be able to play that mental game. I'm going to go from here. Am I going to go near to far? Sometimes they tell you got to go far to near to far. Yeah. And you want to know where you're going to be at each step of the way. You don't want anything to surprise you. Any hesitation is taking more time. Gives you more time to get on target, concentrate on your shot, your breathing. But these work really well. I really like these. I have a set of... okay, so... One thing I am going to...
SoCal Millism. Yeah, you can use a Game Changer as a rear bag if you needed to, for sure.
Okay. You keep talking. I'm going to show them something.
Let me go through your array. A bag may be your next project. Actually...
Yeah, I'm actually working on it already.
I wrote a pint size in an older style soup can as my go-to 99% of the time, Scribble says. Yeah, see, a lot of people have their favorites, just like with anything, right? And, let's see what this means. I've got more bags than you guys got some great comments out there. Appreciate everybody showing up so far. We've got quite a few people watching, 104, so I'm sure he would say thank you.
All right, so this is the abomination that comes with the SIG, okay? I don't know what engineer worked overtime on this thing, and it's great.
That's a dog vest right
yeah, there you go.
Get over here, Fido.
If you're a guide or something, I can see that because you're going to wear this like a chest harness. It's going to be here. You can tip it down and pull it out. I don't need it for that, okay? So what I did was I actually took some webbing, put it around, because half the times I've got it, I can use it, do what I need to do, and I don't have 50,000 ropes hanging from me. So I'm going to have to dig them on that one because that's a horrible thing.
Usually, well, depending on what you're doing, but like the sniper team matches stuff. Where
you have too much other stuff on. What are you going to do with that?
That ain't going to work. So
binos work really well. Now, what we've got here, this is a Loophole Mark IV. It's a spotter that I use quite often. It does have a mill reticle in it. And this is actually on top of the Death Squad, the tripod from them from Death Squad. They call it the Ace.
Yeah, Ace.
And we're going to take it to the match in case there's a short position or something we need to shoot on because it does have an Arca Swiss up on the top of it here. I don't want to drop anything.
One of the bonuses to that spotting scope over the great binoculars is it does have a mill reticle on there.
Yeah, so that's something you need to realize. If I go to the range with Rick, and Rick is consistently shooting to the right, on the binos I'm going to say, dude, you're right. I can't tell him an instant correction and say, you know, you are 2/10 right, give me 2/10 left. That's going to put him dead on target. Or worse, he's 5 feet to the right. You know, you can look and say, all right, well, that's your 2.5 mils right, whatever it is. So you're giving up a little bit.
That sounds more likely.
Yeah. So
you're 7 feet to the right.
So having options is a good thing. You know, using a tripod, and I really want to apologize for not having a tripod available, but that's what the camera is on. Yeah. There will be some positions, usually at all of your PRS matches. I know all of these sniper style matches, a lot of stages will require the use of you shooting off of a tripod. There won't be any other way, okay? I don't know about this 22 rimfire match.
I'm thinking we're gonna have to shoot off that roof prop. Would be a guess as one of the stages.
Yeah, but you won't have a tripod for that. You
No.
won't use a tripod.
But I'm trying to think of how they would encompass that.
Put you in a high grass area until you have to engage those targets, and here's your
And
shooting
you're-
position.
Yeah.
So
Hog saddle.
you know, this is a hog saddle. There are other clamps available, but
This
you
one-
can usually screw this in to the bottom of a tripod. There's a lot of different conversions where you can put an Arca Swiss on the bottom. Like this is one. This actually usually rides on this, but this is a really right stuff Arca Swiss base. But I can screw that onto this, and if I needed a tripod, what I can do is I can clamp this. It's going to hold it rigid enough, you know, without having to spend the money on a really right stuff tripod with an Anvil 30, you know, ball head or something like that.
This was the
But this is not inexpensive.
shiz niz back in the day.
It was, and this is in use by the U.S. Marine Corps. I think they still use this one. They make a couple of different models of this. They make a more inexpensive model, but this one's all CNC billet, and it's a good one. And so we're going to take it out there. So we'll have some options.
Bog Pod Death Grip Carbon is a great one to start with.
Yeah, I've heard that before, Scribble. I know that those were on
Was
sale
that
at like
6 or
Sportsman's
3?
Warehouse.
3 or 6 or something?
300-ish or so.
There's quite a few of that style out there nowadays. GPR Range Guide 10 to 50, which is a bino rangefinder and works nicely.
Yep. So what he's got is something that's similar to this, but probably doesn't have
Does
the
it
applied
talk?
ballistics
Yeah.
link.
But that is one of the nicest things. When
Yep.
we were actually, Ray wasn't my partner, but Coda Boy 32 is my partner. They were doing the same thing, but I could range for his shots and tell him it was dope. So it was pretty nice.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time answering your questions directly. We'll just read them right off of the computer here. So if you have any questions, I'm going to start wrapping it up here shortly. Hopefully this has been really informative for you, whether you're looking to get into PRS or you're looking to get into, you know, NRL22. Guys, you would be amazed at how similar the two are. There really isn't a difference other than the noise. The difference between shooting real
PRS.
6.5 PRS and shooting 22 rimfire.
No,
It's you
Just
know
a
that's
different
why they
rifle.
have the whole series, and it's a better way to get into it less without spending. I mean, look, you can break the bank in either of the two, but
Yeah.
I think it's
there's
little
a
easier.
rabbit hole that's very deep on both ends of it.
Depends on how deep you want to get into it.
The,
All right.
the biggest thing with this is this is something that younger shooters can do. You can get them involved, and they can go have fun. Maybe they're really small, and now they can shoot PRS when they get older. So there's a lot of good reasons to shoot.
Yeah, Manitou commented and said he tried a bog. It self-destructed within a month, but multiple latches just completely failed and wouldn't hold. You know, I've seen that as well. You know, I'm going to go ahead and say, you guys know I speak my mind. One of the biggest disappointments I had was the Night Force tripod. I'm actually looking at an Ecto tripod that Rick bought on Amazon during, it wasn't Black Friday, but it was something like that. There's no doubt in my mind that that company made that tripod for Night Force. Night Force might say they made it, but it is identical to that tripod there. And
I
it was
like
a
the
third
color.
of the price.
I like the color better, actually, too.
Yeah, third of the price. So yeah, that was kind of.
That actually looks like your flannel that you wore yesterday.
Oh, you're funny. But you're right. All right.
Great show.
All right, we'll see you, Gamma Mill. Thanks for joining in. Hope to see you next year.
Have a great night.
Is Coda Boy going to shoot at this match on the weekend? No,
No.
He's not. He doesn't do, or he hasn't done any of these matches, 22, but.
I'm nervous about shooting on your
Relay? No, hey, Bill Sweeney. Okay,
Is he
no.
on our team? Our
I don't
squad?
know. Hey, and the thing is, if you're on our squad, if there's any of this stuff
Yeah.
you need, if you don't have it,
Borrow it.
guys, that's the thing about shooting in the community. And you know, some of the stuff you might go out there and you might say, hey, you know what? This is my first one. I got my Ruger 1022 and I've got my Tasco scope on it. Not knocking. I'm just saying, maybe this is your first time. You're just going to have fun.
We're just glad you're there.
Exactly, and this will make your life a lot easier. If there's anything you need, just ask.
Yeah.
And just say, "Hey, man, do you mind if I use that game changer?" And
Bill, are you on the same squad as
I
all
think
of us?
he is. I think he is.
That's awesome. +5 tripod is what you are bringing to the match. Yeah, we're gonna bring everything we have. I'm gonna bring this if I can find it.
Oh, Larry's on squad 3. I think we're on squad 2. I'm not sure.
Where the hell is it?
I don't even know which squad. We're not changing wherever we're at. We're all there together. So looking forward to meeting up with all of you.
Yeah, there's like 4 of us in the group.
So if you didn't see the chat last night, this is something Rick made because of something that I saw at the last match. Guy had something. It was called a cheater bar. I'm going to go grab the other thing so that they can see it. Is it still held?
Yeah, it's together. It's
This will be a repeat for some of you guys.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last night, and it must be behind us, Rick.
I got it.
Okay. So the tank trap, if you guys aren't familiar, is basically 4x4s that make this kind of X thing, and a lot of places will require you to shoot off of it. So you're either shooting off a sloped angle or on the top of it. But a lot of times on the, you find it? On the arm of it, they'll say you have to shoot in between here and here. Your rifle's got to be in between these 2 points. Well, when you're trying to hold on to it, that's not going to be.
Can they see it?
Oh, maybe.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is a tank trap. I'm going to hold it. I got it.
Right.
And you have to shoot between this point and this point.
Okay. So I'm going to put this piece on here. Now this thing is tied in. It's just 2 pieces of wood. Now I got some type of thing. I throw my rifle right here, and now I can shoot. Instead of trying to hold, basically I'd be holding on under here.
Go ahead, yeah.
As this is sliding down, and I'm trying to get my shot. You know, I'm trying to hold on. Now I can't, I can't hold on to the back of the stock. So this is just.
And guys, you call it gaming it or calling it cheating. We saw another squad that had one. They were all sharing. It's like, dang it, I wish I had one of those.
And it costs about 0 cents to make.
Yeah, it took 15 minutes with that. Didn't even have the right tools in here.
I didn't have the right tools. I said,
but yeah, you could probably stand on this. And what he did was he just put some screws in that have little nibs on them, and you hit it on there. That's it. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So those are the little things that can help you. So when you have stuff like that, when you have these different style bags, you practice in different positions in order to try to get a little bit better each time. So that's hopefully going to help us. We'll see if it does. It might, I don't know, it might break in 2. Who knows?
3 kittens for Microtech swag. Scribble, I promise I'll get you taken care of. Just like I said, I haven't forgotten about Charles Tiffy. We know you got a triple X that's coming.
The hats have been
still waiting on my hats. They're getting shipped. STI, Mike STI, you will be getting one of those. Scribble, I don't need any barn kittens, but if you'll...
Are you still giving away barn kittens?
I guess he is.
He tried to give me barn kittens for something the other day.
Yeah, kitten wouldn't last long.
You must have a lot of kittens, yeah. Does anybody have a hungry coyote friend that... No, I'm just kidding.
So, Manitou says, Ash, when's the next class? All right, so I've been getting a ton of emails about this, and you guys know that I just got done shooting a lot with the match season and everything, and I'm actually holding a private class next week. It wasn't open. It was a whole different set of circumstances, and believe it or not, Rick's nice enough to let me meet some friends here. How's that? This whole COVID thing really changed everything with regards to renting out classrooms and whatnot. So I'm hoping I can start opening those back up to the public if they will allow me to rent the facility.
Mississippi Buckeye.
So hopefully soon.
He's got a Gecko 2 bag from Black Branch, and that thing doesn't slide on wood or glass.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Gecko 2. I have to check it out.
Yeah. Can you remember that? Or should I write it down?
Just think Gecko.
Yeah, I can think Gecko.
Please, someone take them. He's trying to get rid of the barn kittens.
That's right.
Meow. No, we'll leave that one alone. And then we need a video on the cheat wood. They call it a cheater bar, and apparently there's quite a few guys that run them because Chris Simmons like, yeah, I see those things all the time. We call them cheater bars. But hey, if everybody else is using them, and it's a huge advantage, it is a huge advantage, especially if they put 3 positions on a tank trap. Well, it's hurting, because you're kneeling.
That's like saying one guy can't have a rear bag.
Yeah.
So if one guy's doing it, and everybody should be able to do it, make it even. See, and that's the thing cool about us. It's like, if you don't have one of these and you're on our squad and you want this,
take it.
Use it.
You might hurt your rifle, but no.
Yeah, just make sure you...
Make sure you put it on the right side because Rick didn't try to cover up the screws or anything else, but it's that tool. You know, if you need it, it's there.
Yeah.
Watch there not even be a tank trap on it.
There probably won't be. Some dudes consider scopes cheating. Yeah, exactly.
Some dudes consider scopes cheating. F them. Yeah, there you go. So, you know, I grew up shooting iron sights. You know, shooting NRA, or not NRA, but high power across the course. And I really enjoyed it, but this is a different sport. What happened with NRA high power and high power shooting is the sport died. They had to allow 4-power scopes because there was no interest in it. People just got tired of it. And so that's kind of revived the sport a little bit, but it's not cheating.
945.
We'll see you 45 auto.
There's Joaquin right there. It's been out there for a while, I think.
Yep, he has. So any other questions before we shut it down? This is one of the longest live videos or live chats that I've had.
Is it really? That's pretty sad, buddy.
No, then it should just be a one-place position on that freaking thing. All right. All right, guys. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions coming through. We've been going at it for about an hour and 5 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you ever have any questions or if you want a certain topic.
What time did we start?
At 9:45 is when I started it. If you have something that you'd like to see, if I can make it happen, I'll do my best to bring it to you guys. If I'm knowledgeable in it. If I don't know anything about it, I'll just keep my mouth shut. But what I don't want you guys to do is try to get into a sport or spend the money by the wrong thing, you know, thinking that it's the right stuff, because there's so much available out there. You really have to know what works and what doesn't.
That's like this with the thin one. I think that was the horrible design.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I really do appreciate it. We're looking forward to the match this weekend. We will try to get you some footage from it.
Yeah,
Rick,
Bill.
anything you'd like to say?
No, appreciate you guys showing up to his channel, and it's always a good time. Other than that, you guys stay safe. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the next one. And actually, I'm probably going to go live in a minute.
All right. You guys take care. I think he is going to go live on Is Your Six Covered. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you on the next one.